sure that a lot of the fans from Blackburn will be very, very interesting to listen to our guest.
Because obviously the Venkys haven't been at a game in a long, long time. Why do you think the Venkys still want to own Blackburn?
The thing I would say is maybe if we communicate a bit better, the fan will understand that maybe the plan was not to spend money in January.
How do you bring it back? Because you need the fans back on side.
Don't lie to them.
No,
But don't lie to them because they work it out very, very quickly. They know.
How are you going to change Blackburn? Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football. Different episode today, kind of. I'm excited, Sam.
Yeah, I'm glad we diversified with our guests.
Yes.
It's a good decision, isn't it? Like, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of the fans from Blackburn will be very, very interesting to listen to our guest. Like, so we're absolutely pleasure to have Rudy Gestede with us. Rudy,
Thank you for having me.
what is the title, if you don't mind me get it right? Director of Football, is
Head
it?
of Football Operations.
Head of Football Operations. So
Okay,
another oversee to try and get Blackburn Rovers back in the Premier League. Hopefully, I would imagine.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
that's the plan.
Difficult job though, but you know.
It is, but it's enjoyable so far.
So it's nice to see such a young man in charge of that position, like I mean. So
Yes, because you just asked what Rudy's age was and he tells us he's 36 and I immediately gasped.
I was still playing when I was 36. So yeah, lovely position to be in. I hope it goes well for you. Of course, as always, you will have to face the ups and downs at a football club, and well, obviously we've all been listening to the sort of criticism that goes Blackburn's way. So that's a difficult scenario to deal with.
So we should say as well that Rudy's come on and he said that we can ask him anything. So we are going to ask him anything. Also, your former Cardiff, Blackburn, Villa, Middlesbrough striker, head of operations out at Blackburn. Before we get into all of that, let's start with the question that we always start the podcasts with. Where have your paths crossed? Because I've got a date for you.
Oh, yes.
7th of August, 2011.
That's good research, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Does it jump out at you for any reason? I mean, it's a very...
I know why, but... Yeah,
okay. So that was your first game in English football, Rudy.
Really?
And you got an assist for Kenny Miller's winner as Cardiff beat Sam's West Ham.
Oh,
His first game in Championship, I think.
Yeah.
There we go.
Wow. Very good.
That's some link. Do you remember Sam that day?
Yes, I
West
remember.
Ham,
Because he was well known in France to be like a big coach in England. For my first game at West Ham against Sam, and West Ham was a big team, just went down from Premier League. So it was a good time for me, and I gave an assist to Kenny Miller. So it's perfect memories.
That was a big win.
Yes.
Because I think we only lost maybe 5 or 6 that season.
I think we lost against you in the playoff semi-final season. Yeah. So now you had a very strong team with top players.
Right, before we get into the football, Sam, we've got to just say something at the top. You went viral yesterday. I got sent the viral reason 3 times off 3 different people. Do you know why you went viral yesterday?
Yeah, I got about 120 various different pictures of, obviously taking over from the Pope, of course. Which was quite bizarre when it started popping up. No, I've never had as much communication in one day since I've not been managing or coaching as I got yesterday. So mates and people I've known for many, many years who I haven't heard from for a long, long time, which is the norm when you're not working, by the way. It drifts away, the communication. Ping, 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 ping. So, my smiley faces were going back all over the place, like I mean. So
my dad sent it me and it said till the end of the season ? And it was you in the full white Pope's robe with the hat and everything.
I don't know who thought of that one up, but it didn't. I didn't just get the one like I normally get. I got about 3 different variations.
Oh,
of that.
different outfits.
Yeah, different outfits. Yeah. So.
Are you ruling yourself out?
I don't think there's much chance of that, is there?
Well, it made me laugh, and
But
I
of
always
course,
yeah.
memes.
Yeah.
They are called memes, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. I used to get quite a lot of them as a manager, but I started putting them up on the screen for the lads to have a laugh.
Brilliant.
I mean, there used to be one with I think it was Everton particularly, where when I'm dancing, they've put a big fat belly on me, like, you mean, dancing away. I mean, you know, and there used to be a few of me bashing Benitez. You know what I mean?
You've
Stuff
got to be
like
able
that.
to laugh at yourself,
You know what
haven't
I mean?
you?
So I like to put them up for the lads to have a laugh, like, you mean, because it used to be. I used to find them quite funny, like, you mean. So
Yeah, gotta laugh.
it's amazing how
laugh
quick
at it.
people do it, though, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
And
it
that
goes around.
technology today, like, I mean, it's just amazing these youngsters today what they can do so quickly.
Love it. Love it. Right, let's get into the football.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah. Championship.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Rudy, first of all, what does a head of football operations mean? Is it similar to a director of football? Does it cover more? Does it cover less? Can you tell everybody what do you do?
Okay, so I'm based in a training center with the first team, and I oversee. So it's a bit different than the director of football role because we've got the technical and sports science medical part with under our head of technical development, Adam Owen, and I'm overseeing the operation, administration side, kits, catering. I oversee the academy administration also, and the recruitment in the football club.
You just said catering.
Catering, yeah.
I've got a bone to pick with you then. You know, at the press box at Blackburn, you get no catering, no drinks, no nothing.
Really?
There's hot drinks, that's it. But I mean, I jest about the press food. I mean, I travel all over the country, and the difference in the facilities that Blackburn provide in terms of, if you compare it to Preston or Burnley, obviously your nearest rivals, it's worlds apart. I mean, I can go to a Doncaster in League Two, and they treat the press better.
Okay.
And it's not the press officer by any way. The staff are wonderful. I'm talking about when you get there and it's a cold night and you just want to sit and eat something and do your work. And I think I jest in that, and I know it sounds like a little thing, but I think for me, when I went to Blackburn, I think it demonstrates perhaps the wider issues that are going on at Blackburn. It's been a testing first season for you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, John Eustace left midway through the season.
That would have been a shock, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we thought we were having a good season. He was around the playoff position. So obviously, I've been told that Derby were coming. I wanted to discuss with John. John had a discussion with the board, and he wanted to discuss with Derby for his personal reasons. And when the manager wants to discuss with the other club, the only thing you have to do is just prepare yourself for after John. So then he decided to leave. And we prepare ourselves to make sure we carry on with the project.
I think everybody's asking why, though, aren't they? Why, when it's a difficult question, you may not have the answer because you might not be able to do that. But why leave when you're near the playoffs and take over a club that's at the bottom would be was the big question.
Yes.
You know, and obviously if the personal reasons or whatever, obviously you can't disclose that. But you know, everybody was saying, well, why would you want to?
Yeah,
Like
that's the question I was asking myself.
Me personally saying that it has to be something. There'd have to be something way beyond I'd expected to make me want to leave to go to a club, because we all want. If we've got any ambition, we all want to succeed. Like, I mean.
So my belief, I wasn't there when John has been appointed at the club. I was at the club as a working experience, but I wasn't part of the interview.
Fine. Yeah.
So my belief was, when I've been appointed, is we've got a project for the club. We need to develop our young players from the academy. We, obviously, for the sustainability of the club, we cannot spend the money that Leeds or those big clubs are spending. So we have to be creative in the transfer window. And for all those reasons, we had a plan. And John was part of this plan because he's been very good since he joined the club in terms of winning success and getting the club to the playoff. The players have been fantastic too. So then we went through the first transfer window, broke some players. We think we had add value to the squad with quality players. Then we go through January, we start to have injuries. So January transfer window is a bit different because the clubs are waiting for those players who's going to be injured before they can release some players. So you're waiting on possibility targets. Are they available? Are they not? Sometimes they're available at the beginning of transfer window. They are not available anymore at the end of January. So we managed to bring 6 players, I think, in January. And
Were they short-term deals, most of them?
we had 1 long-term contract and loans, and short-term, 6-month contract or loan player, because that's just the market in January. You have to adapt. And then after that, John decided to leave. So I didn't have like massive communication with John. So I cannot tell you exactly why. The reason I know is just the personal reason. He's close to his family. But then I've been told that it wasn't the reason. So I believe that's the reason was. And when you're in a playoff position, even if you've got some different reason that you want to leave, I believe as a competitor you should stay until the end of the season, and then we can assess the situation and see where we're going forwards. Are we aligned? Are we not aligned? That different discussion to have like with every type of a head coach. But we didn't have time to have those discussions because then he made his decision. Yeah.
Did you and him fall out before he went?
Sorry.
Did you have words or have arguments? I read online that both of you, your relationship kind of wasn't great at the end.
No, not at all. Seriously, he came to my office and it's all the best for the season, all the best for you. We didn't have any animosity together. I'm not saying we're best friends. Obviously, it's football, it's business. We have to work together, but no big complaint or nothing at all. Nothing this side. Yeah.
Were you disappointed then? It seemed like disappointed that he didn't stay till the end of the season.
Disappointed because he was doing well and we're fighting for playoff. I think the club was in a good position for the rest of the season. So obviously disappointed, but at the end of the day, you have to keep your emotion stable in football. And when someone wants to leave, he made this decision, so we have to deal with that.
There seems to be, well before you came, there seems to be this every season for Blackburn. Every season for Blackburn, it's like they're up there, they're close to the playoffs. You're thinking, well, perhaps this season. I don't think that they've ever quite been in a position where they're going to get automatic promotion. But it seems to be a constant decline.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, they seems to get this level, and then it starts to just slip away. So they get the fans. This is where you get all the criticism from.
Yeah.
So you get the fans building the expectation, building it, and then it's like, oh, not again. And I think that there can be many reasons for that. Of course, many reasons. But you've only just got in the job. But the club should have learned from that over the last few years. It really should have learned. And the coach, whoever the coach was, and obviously quite a few coaches, and I don't know whether they did or they didn't. I'd be providing so much information in January to the owners, to you, to the director of football, and saying, this, if we want to get in the playoffs, we need this, which is obviously going to put a strain probably on more than anything else before, which is the budget. So if you want the club to succeed and you've got faith in the manager, and you look at this saying, "Oh, we need the players." So why do you need more players? Because your job is to look into the future as the coach, head coach, or the manager. Your job is to predict what's going to come if you do get them, or it's going to if you don't get them, based on the information and the data you're getting, saying that these players will not last at the level they're lasting. Because the one thing I find when I went to West Ham, and I don't know whether this is the case, the physical output in the Championship was far. The one thing that were better in the Championship, the Premier League, was the physical data. So when I researched West Ham, I got, wow, you have to work harder here than you do in the Premier League. I found that absolutely mind-boggling, because I didn't think any of the data would be better. But certainly from a physical point of view, and then you've got 46 games. Oh, well, obviously the big clubs in the Premier League have
Champions League,
all of that, like you mean. So there's always a time, and I think we talked off air, when I've gone to the directors and gone, with the bottom league, if we don't spend and you don't help me, we're going to get relegated. And then provide with them what we need. And then if the club still continues to ignore it, you know, then you can't really blame the coach if he doesn't succeed at what you're after, because you've not helped him just that little period of time. You can all benefit from.
And I suppose it's even more difficult when you have to replace your manager halfway through the season. Were you involved in the selection of the new manager?
Yes, I was involved. So going back on the discussion we had, we knew that in December we start to have injuries.
Yeah.
In championship, the robustness of the player is very important. So coming to January, we knew we had to bring new players, to bring fresh blood, and make sure like have depth in your squad, because the difficulty in championship, you need depth. So you need bench to make sure when your starting players are getting tired, you're able to rotate the players. And we were in a position where it was difficult to rotate our players, and John didn't rotate that much. So then you start to pick up injuries. But you need also a budget to make sure you've got depth in your squad. So you have to be clever the way you recruit players. You have to go different markets, because the domestic market is very expensive. So if we want to be able to build a squad with different quality and make sure we've got the depth, you need to be a bit more creative and go abroad to bring players. So to make it happen, you have to have alignment from the board, the head coach, and the recruitment staff to make sure we're all okay on board when we present the players to the head coach. And if there is an alignment for this situation, that's where the problem can start. So we thought we brought players going to make our team better and bring robustness to our squad. And then January we had more injuries and more injuries. John left. Then we appointed Valerian Ismael. So it was a long process of recruitment. Long, I would say. You have to react quick. But we didn't want to bring someone for a short period of time. So we sit down with the board and say, okay, what's our project going forward? The one we discussed at the beginning of the season, which is developing our talent from the academy, make sure we're sustainable. We don't have the massive budget, so we have to be creative the way we recruit players. And when we've got the right, when we identify the right guy, he has to come in the building, but also we have to make sure we've got resale value on the player, because that's how we get money for the club. Then we try to work on principles of football we wanted to have for the club. We identify a few head coach, and then we try to find the right one to have an instant impact for the squad, because obviously championship is going very quick. First few weeks we've got 5-6 games and you don't have time to settle down. So he had to understand the team. Speaking English was a big factor for us, because you have to be able to communicate with the players. And then when we had identified the right one, Valerian was the one who stood out, and we decided to go with him.
I was worried when John left, because I thought Sam was going to get the call straight away, and I thought the podcast was going to be over. I kept saying to you, didn't I, Sam? Is your phone rung? Is your phone rung? Is your phone rung?
Would you have taken the job if it?
I think it's very. I said then, it's very difficult to do that when the owners sacked me after 2 weeks of being there. You know what I mean? Not that I hold a particular grudge against them at all. They'd made the decision they have to make by the information that they were given, which obviously was the wrong information, and I think they learned to their detriment about that later on. And once they got wise on how football clubs run, it had cost them many millions before they got wise to how a football club should be run, like you mean, by people that they trusted that didn't deliver. In terms of, I mean, choice of managers, choice of players, and they went through an whole process where they had to pay them off and continue to pay them off before they found out, which is obviously par for the course. If new owners come in without any knowledge about football, then, and if they trust the right people, then that's fantastic. The transition can be relatively good. If you trust the wrong people, then all of a sudden many millions have slipped out the door.
Did you speak to them, by the way, in those 2 weeks?
No, I only spoke to Madam, I can't remember her second name, unfortunately. That was only by phone.
Right. In terms of the new manager, slow start.
Yes.
But the last 3 games, 3 wins in a row for him. Have you been impressed with the recent performances?
Not impressed. Obviously, we're happy that now we're winning games, but not impressed because we knew that was a possibility when we hired Valerian. We knew you've got a transition period. he was losing 2 players per game for the first four games, I would say. So then with the depth of our squad, it's getting difficult. Now we've got players back from injuries, key players. The performance always getting better, even when it started to get to the players. I would say our players have been emotionally affected also by the departure of John, because he was good with the togetherness. So it took a bit of time for the players to realize, okay, we can have faith in Valerian. What he's proposing to us is working, and it will work in the future. Now they've got the belief. I think our result against Sheffield Wednesday, when we came back to 2-0 down, just give the belief to the players. Then we go away, we won the games, and then home, and then away again, which is fantastic now, because you can see that the dynamic has changed in the squad, and the players are believing in what we're proposing, what Valerian wants as a principles in the pitch, and it's working. So hopefully we carry on this way until the end of the season and see where we land.
It was in this crazy world of Blackburn Rovers at the minute, what it feels like. There's always stories going around. TalkSport said last week, I don't know if you heard it, Sam. TalkSport said last week that Wayne Rooney was being lined up to replace Valerian in the summer.
Okay.
He's only just come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we cannot control the media. You know, probably better than me. That's their job, to try to give information around. I don't know if it's from an agent or from the player, from Wayne Rooney himself. I don't think so, but you never know. No, it's never been the plan. We're happy with Valerian. We want to give him time. We chose him because of the project, and that doesn't make any sense to make a decision now.
That would have been about that. The new manager was struggling at the time, which creates a, how long is he going to last? And then obviously the vultures come out.
Yeah.
And start. I think I said this before in the podcast. Like in the old days, if you were struggling a bit, you'd look up in the director's box and see all the out-of-work managers there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Showing the face, like you mean, like, I'm available. You know what I mean? So it's never changed. Never will change with the speculation. Like I said, all you've got to do is win.
We had Valerian just starting, and we were losing games, and then the media started to say that we were losing games because he was hands in the pocket, and he wasn't showing emotions, and so that's why the players were not performing at their best and everything. Now we're winning games. He still had the hand in the pocket, so what can they say about this now?
Got to say, Rudy, thank you, because you have said that we can ask you absolutely anything, and so I really appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate your honesty, because there is things. I'm just a football fan at the core, and there's things I have to ask you because the Blackburn Rovers fans will want the answers. Yeah. So if we go back to the Venkys, Sam mentioned them before. I think the kind of overarching question that Blackburn fans have about the Venkys, I mean, first of all, do you speak to them?
No. The way we structure at the club is we've got the board of director, with Steve Waggett, the CEO, Suel Pasha, who is the representative of the owners, and Robert Cole, who is the non-executive director.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he's still there, Robert.
Is he?
He's still there. Yeah, I will.
Wow.
So he's still there.
Hey, he's lasted a long time, Robert. Well done.
He's been through a lot,
a huge amount, yeah.
So I report to them when we have to make decisions on players, transfer, any type of decision. And then their job is to discuss with the owner when we need a budget or any informations, and they come back to us. So I don't have any direct contact with them. I know, discussing with the board, that they're still watching our games, as they're still involved in the club life and the operation, but they're not based obviously in the country. But it's working this way. Yeah,
that's the norm for the Premier League. That
it is. Yeah. I don't think we're doing something different than the other club. It's just we are in the highlights because of our fans are not getting happy about the situation. But most of the club in the Premier League or Championship, where they've got foreigners owners, they're not in the club on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, I think maybe we've got some owners that are so visible currently. When you think about Wrexham or Brighton, Birmingham, owners that are so visible, then perhaps that's what fans want to see, because obviously the Venkys haven't been at a game in a long time. I don't know when the last time the Venkys were at a game. They don't attend the games, and they're losing money. I think the questions that the confusion for the fans is, and I guess this is just a very much opinionated question for you. Why do you think the Venkys still want to own Blackburn?
To be honest, that's not a question I can comment, because I don't have the answer to that. What I would say is, in Championship, most of the club are losing money. The owners are still there, putting money in the business. They are still putting money every season in the business to make sure we can operate, we can produce something on a Saturday evening, on a Saturday afternoon or Tuesday evening for the fans. So I would say they still involve in a way. Then I cannot comment on why they're keeping the club. I think they still have the patience, but that's just my words. I cannot comment for them. But what I would say as one of the leaders of the club now, we've got the backup of the owners. When we make decision, they are behind us. They still want us to do the best for the club, for the Blackburn Football Club. And if we're able to produce something on Saturday, it's because they are behind the club, putting money and try to drive the club.
Are they still putting money in?
Yeah, every season.
Every season they put money in?
Every season they put money just to stay afloat, because Championship is, with the revenue that we have, I think we've got a shortfall between 20-25 million per season. So if they're not there to back up the club could go down. So obviously we're very grateful for what they're doing. And I think the fans should try to understand, not with emotions, but more with a pragmatic vision of the football club. And that if we are now sustainable and we can produce a football match on the Saturdays, because they are behind the scene putting money in the club.
I think I speculate on that. I think there's a chance that they're thinking that somebody's going to come along and offer them enough money to buy them out.
Yeah, I think that's what the fans want.
Well, it's not what the fans want. It's what they want.
Oh, you think it's what they want?
Because it'll be because. I mean,
The owners?
Not what they did to me. It's not that I want to stick up for them too much, by the way. But I mean, that's life. I don't have any animosity against the decision they made, because that happens in football. But I would just speculate, and this is purely my opinion, that they end up looking at how much money they lose and think somebody's going to come along and offer us, some consortium's going to come along and look at Blackburn and say, when you see other clubs like Wrexham being bought and Birmingham and go on and offer them a sort of money, so they're not going to lose as much money as they've lost, because that must be millions now.
Oh yeah. Another thing that the fans often say, obviously a big sell on for Sammy Smodics and Adam Wharton, but where is the money from that in terms of reinvestment in the squad? Because I know that you brought in, was it 6 players in January?
Yes.
I think, was one of them $1 million, and the others were short-term deals. Where is the money that was spent on, that was gathered from Schmodics and Wharton in terms of reinvestment into the squad?
So we invested a bit of money in the summertime, where we bought 1, 2, 3 players, over 3 million for the 3 players. Then the one in January, over 1 million. So overall it's around 5 million spending. That's almost our budget in terms of transfer window. The thing I would say is, maybe if we communicate a bit better, what's the plan for the club for next season, the fan will understand that maybe the plan was not to spend money in January to get to the playoff, but just to start to build the foundation of the club and to develop the club this way. And if we land in the playoff, it's perfect. But that's maybe not the aim at the beginning of the season. As a competitor, as a club, obviously we want to get back to the Premier League. That's where the club belong. But we need to go step by step if we want to sustain there. So now, last season we were fighting for relegation. Now we're fighting for promotion, which already a good step going forward. Next season will be to build from this foundation and to go higher and higher. So I'm excited about the next transfer window coming up, and obviously we'll have a budget to work with some trading, obviously as part of the football club, but also with the backup of the owners, and we'll be able to make our team even better and better.
So the sale of Smodics and Wharton, the amount that they brought in was kind of irrelevant then, was it, in terms of what the spending budget was always going to be? Yeah,
there is operation costs, so it's not just for the players trading. The money is used for the staff, for the facilities, so it's been used for that, and part of it is for transfer window. So we used the money that was available for us, and the operation view on the club was, the money was used for that also. But the money is not coming in one slot for those transfer, so we have to manage our cash flow also at the club.
You've got to decide whether every football club, this is no different from most football clubs. When I was there, you know what I mean? Because Jack Walker had passed away, unfortunately, for Blackburn Rovers fans and Blackburn. There was no money anymore. invested by the owner, by the family that ended up taking over. And I think that we had to find, every year, John Williams came to me and said, we have to find this much money in a transfer, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we finish with the transfers, we'll see how much we may be able to give you in your budget to go and find some players, which made the academy even more important than ever before.
Yeah.
So, you know, investing in the academy is a long-term project. You know what I mean? But still the best way, one, to get a cheap player playing in the team, and two, to get a valuable player. You know, that's why I dislike the fact that all the Premier League football clubs can take them while they're still in the academy. So it's not any different to now, then, which was a big shift, because you look at Blackburn's recent history, they've won the Premier League. You know what I mean? It's you know what I mean? So when I was there, the history was still in Jack Walker and Alan Shearer's era with Batty and Sherwood and, you know, all those big players that they had. You know, and all the fans that came all remembered that, all knew that.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? So there's a pressure there, but you know, but it ultimately became about overachieving or just keeping the team in the Premier League. That was, which is sad, but there's nothing better than being in the Premier League.
And I think that's the frustration of the Blackburn fans. And I think there is definitely a disconnect between football fans and understanding the running of a football club, because we hear 25, 30 million pound for two players. Right, that's 25, 30 million pounds to spend on new players. The disconnect I think we don't understand is the 30 million brought in and the 5 million spent. The fans want the investment in the team. But I guess you're saying that Blackburn just don't, even with that money, they need that money, Blackburn, to just sustain.
Yes, true. And it's not the plan at the beginning of the season to say, okay, the money we coming in the business, we're going to reinvest straight away in the transfer. That's not the plan. We want to develop our own players. We want to buy cheaper player, not in terms of quality, but in terms of price, and resell value like we did with Smodic. Bought him for over 1 million, I think, and sold him for 10 millions. So that's the model of the club. The plan of the club is not to spend money to go back to the Premier League and win the Premier League again. Step by step, we're developing the club again. We've got good foundation. We need the fans on board. So we need them to understand that, but maybe we need to communicate a better way to make sure they understand what's the plan for the club. If we're in the playoff next season, or if this season something happened, that's fantastic. If we're in the playoff next season, it's fantastic too. But that's not the first aim. We want to develop the club and make sure when we bring a player, he's got resale value. And that's how we're going to operate going forward. And then when we've got more money coming in the business and we break even with the revenue and everything, then we can start to build and go higher and higher. But that's the first part of the plan.
So as far as you're concerned, then, that the Venkys haven't got the club up for sale?
As far as I know, no, not on my knowledge.
I think that's an important question for the fans.
No, the last discussion we had, I think they never mentioned that they wanted to sell the club.
Right.
It's just the fan speculation and probably the hope of the fan at one point. But since they bought the club, the fans, the publicity has been bad against the owners from the beginning for different reasons.
Advert right at the start.
Yeah.
Will go down in history, yes.
So I think they still have bad publicity, even with the money they put in the business. But when you go down straight away, and it's obviously it's a difficult time. But now we need the fans to understand that we want to go back in the Premier League, but it will take a bit of time. But they have to believe in what we're doing.
How do you do that then? Because there is no positive opinion of the Venkys at Blackburn in the fan base. I think that's fair. Obviously, I'm not a Blackburn fan, but I think that's fair to say. So how do you do that? Does that come under your remit, first of all, like in terms of PR and communications? Is that in your remit?
I think we all part of it.
I think he's got too big of a job for that.
Yeah.
I think we all.
And sorry for that. Yeah. So what he said his job description is, if he wants to get, if he's just a director of football and plans with the manager to get, his job description is far bigger than that, because it takes him down to the academy, down to.
Yeah.
down to all the other areas, and you can that is fine. But the job description, just in my opinion, is far too big. If you're going to get Blackburn back into the Premier League, your job description is I'm director of football, work closely with the head coach, work closely with the owners, work closely with the financial director, work closely with the commercial. But your main focus is how do we build this first team?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some time for the academy, and that. So it's foot and the organisation with the manager, and plan it on what you're going to go forward together to get into Premier League. Size of your job description means that you're.
But what I would say, just to define it, I've got amazing people with me.
Yeah.
So it's just me by myself.
So you're delegating well then?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
But we've got the head of academy, we've got the people in charge of recruitment, we've got people in charge of catering. I'm just overseeing it. So I'm not the one doing everything.
Yeah.
I try to delegate as much as I can. We still like a small business, Blackburn. So
Yeah, absolutely,
we all know
yeah.
each other and we all work together. So I think it's working well at the minute. We've got close relation with the head coach, with the board, but we want to involve the academy people with us. So we make sure we...
So how many players you're going to need next year?
Next season, we've got few players out of contract, few players out back to their parents' club. We've got players 1 year contract. We have to make decisions. So I would say we've got 4 to 6 positions to fill, main positions, and then see how it goes during the market. But that's...
So it's another 6, 7 or 8 then?
6, I would say.
6.
Yeah.
Do you lead on those negotiations?
Yes. Yes.
With
I
the
lead.
players and the agents?
Players, agents, and we've got also the CEO is taking a bit of this job too.
I have to bring up this, by the way, because it came out, I forgot about this. It came out how much money's been paid to the agents.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, but just to give you
You know what I mean?
for you to understand,
You know, the Premier League and then even in the Championship.
the Leeds
How many
paid
billions?
Yeah.
amazing amount of money for agents fee, which is more than probably our wage bill.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of how we can compete with the top team in the budget. So make the job harder for us, but we have
That's
to
the
be
owner's
clever.
fault. That's
Leeds?
the owner's fault.
At Leeds?
No, everybody.
But everybody's on the agents?
Yeah, it's the owner's fault.
How come?
Because they never controlled them in the beginning and let them
Yeah.
get carried away. Relied on them too much.
Tyrese Dolan.
Yes.
He's played the 5th most minutes this season. The times that I've watched it, he's been fantastic this
Yes.
season. His contract's coming up, or it's getting short.
Yes.
Are you in negotiations? The Blackburn fans will want very much like to know if he's staying.
You want to know, the fan wants to know.
I feel like I'm talking for the fans right now, yeah.
So Tyrese is doing
His
fantastic.
agent will be busy now.
Tyrese is doing fantastic this season. He's a young talent. He came join us a few years ago from Preston, and since he joined us, he's a fantastic human being, fantastic player. So obviously there's discussion ongoing. We want Tyrese to stay with us for a longer period of time because we think he's got a big future going in front of him, and we will be happy to have him in the club next season. So I think it's quite clear. But to make a decision, it's both parties have to agree on the contract. We made our part. Now it's up to him to come back to us and to start discussing.
Well, if he rejects a contract, that means somebody's already.
Yeah, I'm assuming
already tapping him up.
when you're doing well at this age,
Which
you've got
by
different.
the way, is supposed to be illegally, by the way. But I mean, you know,
But
when
now
do
he has
we
to
ever see
decide.
anybody taken to
Yeah.
the FIFA tribunal now about illegal approach?
He has to decide what's the best for his career and going forward. Is it Blackburn? Is
How many
somewhere
games he
else?
played this year?
5th most.
Yeah, I think
Of the
he
squad,
missed.
so,
He didn't miss any
How old
games
is he?
through injury. 22, 23, going 23. So nice.
So he's well established then. At
Yes,
22.
he is.
Potential, he's got so much potential.
Well,
Yeah.
his potential should be a reality at 22 now.
Well, yeah, he's been.
You know what I mean?
He's been doing well, and you can see he's evolving every
Yeah.
season. He's doing better. His stats are better. His game understanding is better. He still have room for improvement, which is good at this age. And no, I think he's.
So what can we say to the Blackburn fans that obviously the big question would be that your policies and recruitment policy next year means that the players and the squad's going going to change quite dramatically. So
I won't say dramatically, but we have to change.
well,
Yeah.
six,
And we have
six-
to evolve.
Well,
Yeah.
that's only my opinion.
Yeah.
6 or 7, mind you. I suppose that's not a lot these days.
On
but
25 players,
on
6 or 7
25
is
players,
not massive.
So yeah,
We need to try to make our team better, and with different contract situation, we need to bring around 6 players.
it's not many out of 25.
No, it's not that big, but we want
Why-
to keep
why
our
do you-
core players.
Yeah. How many in the academy in the 25?
So we try to bring one academy player on each position. So it's going to be part of the. So we've got A, B, C players. The C player, we want the player to be academy player. A being the starting one, and B the sub or the number 2, I would say.
Yeah.
But then in football, there is no.
So how many
decision.
academy players make up the 25?
So we'll probably have 7 to 8 academy players next season. We've got already 2 played last few games.
That's good.
We want to. So
That
it's
helps
been
the
a
budget.
situation last season when we have only 142 minutes played for our academy players from when John Eustace joined us, and the plan for our squad is to give as much as we can. So the years before that, it was 2,000 minutes for academy players, almost 3,000 minutes the year before. So now we want to go back to those numbers. So that's why we want the academy players, if they are good enough, obviously, to perform, to join the first team. But you only know if they're good enough if you give them opportunity to be on the pitch. And last few games, Valerian did with Christy Montgomery and Igor Tyjan, with 2 fantastic talent from the academy. And we believe next season we'll have more players coming up.
Okay. In terms of Adam Wharton, he's been linked to many a club in the Premier League.
Yes.
Do you have a sell on?
I believe that I wasn't part of the negotiation, but I believe that the club, obviously, usually when you've got academy players, when you sell him to a bigger club, you try to keep something from the next deal. So I believe the club's got one. Yes.
I don't think I'd have ever let a player go on without a sell on.
Oh, really? Really? How much usually? Like what percentage?
I would say I'd say it varied between 10 and 20%.
You can go higher on
Sell on.
young players if you want to
Okay.
give them the chance
Yeah.
to develop. You let them go for free, and you retain 50%.
Oh yeah, if you let him go for free and you retain 50%, that's easy for the club to accept.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I used to do sell on.
Stop.
At Bolton, yeah.
So the club sells.
So if
to
it went
someone
on
else and that club
20%
sells
and it
someone
went
else
to the
and
next club, it'd be 5.
Okay. Fair play. What is the 3 to 5 year plan for Blackburn? How are you going to change Blackburn?
It's not just by myself, first, I would say.
Good answer.
Because you need different people, you need the best people in their position to make it happen. The plan, as I said, is to develop our young players at the academy. So it has to be our next asset for the club. Buying young players with resale value, high potential. So when we want to prepare the next one, or we want to sell, for example, Sami Smodic, we need someone behind to be prepared. So we need also the head coach to be aligned with this decision, because we want him to play our young players, even when it's sometimes a difficult position, or you need time for the young players to acclimate to the championship level. Usually we've got a big pool, like if you go around London, you've got a big pool of players.
Yeah.
Birmingham got a big pool of players. Same in France, you've got Paris, that's where the most of the players come from, is from Paris. So that's where everybody's going to scout and bring players. We're not in this area yet as a club. We focus in the Northwest as much as we can.
What category is the academy?
Cat 1
So that's
Academy.
good, yeah.
And we want to stay in the Cat 1 Academy, because it's been also the media
very good.
saying that we
Good
want
selling point.
we want to stay Cat 1 Academy. We believe we've got the size of a club is good enough for Cat 1 Academy, and that's where we're going to also sell the pathway to our young players for the first team.
So young players, bring them in.
Young players for the academy, but also you need to find the right balance,
Yeah.
because to sustain in championship, you need experience, number of games, not just about the age, but number of games in championship. You need established players to guide the young players, because if you don't have this in your squad, the young player is going to be not at the level that you expect. So it's the right balance between all the players with experience, young players coming up, but also bringing players from outside who's going to bring you something different that you don't have. So it's finding the right balance for the club, but for the sustainability of the club, I repeat myself, but we need to build assets. So we cannot just sign 27 or 30 plus players just for one season, because that doesn't work this way.
And then you've got your manager that you feel fits with that plan and is on
Yes.
board with bringing the young players through.
Yes.
And now the hope for next season, I guess, is that now he's had his time to bed in, he'll get
So
a
he's
window.
told you what he needs.
Yeah, we discussed, we sat down, we go over the profile, the type of profile. So he's not coming with the name of the player, but he gave the profile
Per
of the
position.
player. Yes, per
I know
position.
what he's looking for in that position.
Yes,
So
exactly.
he's giving you a sort of I want an attacking left back.
So
Who
we took him also
or I want a
because
defensive wing back, or I want.
we took him
all that-
also
all of
because he fits with what we want to do as a club.
Yeah.
So it's a collective discussion. And
Is he
we sit
flexible
down.
on his systems?
Yes, he is. You have to adapt. So championship is difficult. You want to play a certain way of football, but some games you have to adapt. So if you go back to our game yesterday against Sunderland, first half a bit more attacking, high press. Second half a bit more sat down and try to get the result. So you have to adapt as a head coach. You've got your ideas, you've got your principle that you want to play with, but at one point you've got the players available, you've got injuries. So how can you get the best of your players? But keep in mind that that's how he wants to play football. But we're here to support him, not to be a dictator and tell him what he has to do. You want to give him the responsibility and he's going to be accountable for his job. We're here to make sure we create the right environment for the players that's coming up or the young players and at the club make sure we can play our best.
So is Blackburn's, but this is a difficult question, but is Blackburn's budget going to increase next year or stay the same?
I think it will stay the same. We're going to try to fight to get a bit more, but as I said, it's been like this for a few years now. The owners are backing the club with the money they put, and our job, when I signed, my job was to make sure we stick with the plan. So I'm not now knocking at the door and I say I want 20 million because that's not what I signed for a year ago. So I know what's my budget and I know what I have to do to make sure to get the best of this budget, and we're already working on it, and I'm confident that we'll have a better squad next season.
Yeah. I've got to say as well, just from a fan's point of view, it's just really difficult. And again, I go back to the point of we don't understand the business side of it, because the basic side that I see of it is they buy a club that's in the Premier League and it's got this incredible history. And in the tenure of them owning the club just seems to go down.
What's down? Because we're in championship fighting for playoff. I'm not sure it's that down.
Okay.
Last few seasons, except last season when we fight for relegation, but last few seasons we're fighting for playoff. Even with our budget, Sunderland is doing this with a tiny budget. I think there is a possibility to do it. If you do it, if we've got an alignment, all the club, I think there's a possibility.
Alignment, I think, is a really
key.
good word.
Alignment is key, from the board to my position, to the head coach, to the players and the academy. If we all
And
know
the
where we're going,
fans.
and the fans, the fans. So we have to communicate our plan to the fans. It's going to be the.
If you get in the playoffs, you've got to do it.
Yeah, of course.
You got to win. You got to win it. If you get in the playoffs year after, you got to win it. If you don't do that, you won't get there again.
Yeah. Let's round up the Blackburn chat. I've just kind of got two more questions.
That's fine.
And again, appreciate your honesty on it. Just going back to the kind of, I liked it when you talked about alignment, when you said alignment between, and you were talking about the clubs.
Yes.
You can get all of that in a line and you can get all of them running, but unless the connection with the fans comes back to the club,
Yes.
it feels like you're not going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. You need the fans back on side. And we touched on it. The Venkys, the fans, the alignment of the club. How do you bring everybody in? And I know it's a very big question, not just for you. How do you bring it back? Because you need the fans back on side.
I believe we need to communicate probably a better way to express our project and to make them understand that that's the project. So then you don't build any expectation. If you are there, you're not investing money, as we mentioned. It's because we know our plan.
Don't lie to them.
No, that's the plan.
Don't say nothing. Say nothing in the end, but don't lie to them, because they work it out very, very quickly. They know what's happening there.
But that's why if you
communicate,
if you're honest in your communication, then they understand. You can agree or disagree with that, but you understand the plan. So that, I believe, if we communicate a better way with them, they will be on board, or they will be less attracted by the fact singing Venkys out or those kind of words. Because even now, when the team is performing, they're not supporting the team as they should do. And that's sometimes when I'm in the stand, I feel it, because the team is doing their best on the pitch. So
What's
One
your
race to
average
another.
gate, if you don't mind me? Do you know what your average gate is?
Yeah, we were on like 12, 13,
yeah.
I would say, per game.
Yeah.
Used to be higher.
Are they
than
thinking
this.
of putting the season tickets up this year?
Yeah, but I don't think it's the case because the season
No.
ticket now is back to the price we were before COVID time.
Oh, good.
And we're still like one of the
That's
lowest
good.
in the league.
That's really good.
Thank you. So in terms of
I've
next
got
season,
just a question. No, it's not a question. It's just an overview, because you just into the job and you're learning all the time. And you tell me before we started about how much you'd done before they offered you the job, your work experience and stuff like that. So if you get the opportunity that might help you and the football club, because I presume you're ambitious and you want to stay at Blackburn, of course, but everybody, if they haven't got an ambition, won't succeed. But have you ever thought, if you get the opportunity to try and spend some time at Brighton and Bournemouth and Brentford, who are similar base to
Yeah,
Blackburn?
that's a good things to do.
You know what I mean?
Just
Will
go
they, will
around
they
and-
accept you in? Will they help you?
I think so.
Why don't they do that? Because we used, in my time, we've always done a lot of, I've always sent, not that I did much if I could because I was too busy, but sent a lot of other people to search other areas of sport, but particularly on, look at the success of Fulham's another one. You look at the success and now they're sustaining it. Like we did at Bolton, like Blackburn, like Burnley did for a long time. You know what I mean? So that if they can help, you might get a better perspective of what you might come and introduce to Blackburn to help them.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah,
back in the Premier League.
That's something we
And
have
I'm
to
sure
do, just to
they'll
visit different
welcome
clubs.
you in. I know Thomas Frank is great at it. Like you mean, and I spoke to. I haven't been down to see Brentford, but you know, might be an idea for you and,
It is a good idea.
Blackburn.
Next
Thanks for coming.
season?
Yeah.
Next season for Blackburn, what is the aim? What is the short-term aim for next season? You're close this year, close to the playoffs.
Close. So we try to be better every season. So now we close, we'll see where we land at the end of the season, then see what we can do next season to improve our performance and improve our results. So yeah, that's the plan, is to finish higher. That's what we're going to do this season.
Good luck. And also, I mean, it happen if the Venkys happen to be watching this podcast because they heard that you're on it. I think come and watch your club. Maybe come and sit down with some of the fans, have conversations with the fans. Come and watch the club. I feel like that's the most basic thing the fans would respond to if the owners were in the stands watching even just one game. Last question for you: 3 points. Are they more enjoyable when you're on the pitch as a player, or when you're on the pitch, or when you're on the stands as part of the leadership team?
On the pitch, you enjoy more.
I was going to say, this one.
Honesty.
On the pitch, you enjoy
we-
more. You're
when
part
it-
of it. You
if
got
it-
the
Yeah.
adrenaline high. You scoring goals. You can, at least you got the kind of control of what's happening. When you understand, you did your best, but now it's not up to you. Yeah.
You know what it is when you win, when you understand, or in the dugout.
Yeah.
Relief.
Yeah.
I can have a good.
Yes.
I can have a good weekend.
Yeah.
I can relax till Monday if I'm
Thank
lucky.
you. Thank you very much for coming
My
on.
pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck with it. You seem like a very good fit for the job, but it seems like a very difficult job. So very, very best of luck with it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Would love to see Blackburn back in the Premier League, or at least challenging at the top of the Championship. Absolutely.
And it's a thank you to all the Blackburn fans that are watching. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. And
This Blackburn Rovers podcast.
wish them every success in the future. Hopefully they will get back into the Premier League sooner rather than later. And of course, thank all our followers and subscribers.
And maybe I'll get a pie at the next Blackburn game I go to.
I'll do
Thank
my
you.
best, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football.